Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a lively off season for Jake and I, but we are back. We're going to start breaking down some teams, some drafts, and we have some exciting new news. We are going to go by the name Trust the Podcast this season. Our league name is Trust the Process. So feels like Trust the Podcast will work. We'll give it a shot, see if it sticks, but we're going to go with it. So first off, let's jump into the draft. Jake,
yeah, let's get right into it. Wow, good to be back. I will say that definitely. So going over like the draft, I mean, a lot of expected moves, I would say. We got Stu's team taking Breece Hall, number 1 overall. Another running back going early. Everything's pretty much as expected. I did want to ask, because you used one of your later round picks, but we can go over the first round picks. I had a question on one of yours. What did you think of everyone's drafted through the first round of this year?
Yeah. The first three were pretty standard. Jameson Williams at 4. It's probably a little early, I would say, but I really don't hate it. Like, he might be the best offensive player in this class. Though he's injured, great spot for a rebuilding team to grab a guy. Maybe a little early, but not like anything too crazy. The next pick, 5th overall, Christian Watson. That's kind of a bit of a head scratcher there. That guy is more of like a late first round guy. So to take someone like him when Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson are still on the board, a bit surprising. Treylon Burks, again, that's kind of the spot he's been going in all the leagues and all the data I've seen this year. Sky Moore, I would prefer to have Olave or Wilson, probably in Rashad White over him. But like, you can't hate anyone on the Chiefs, right? Like, best offense in the league, and they will be for a long time. After that, it's pretty standard, I guess. But yeah, a couple of like head scratchers, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to give the shout out to little shout out to J-Rod. My guy J-Rod really stepped it up this off season, put a little work in, did some research. Good to see. But he had a pretty good pick. I think Dotson's going to be good for his team. Coming from the bottom, he's got some work to do. So a nice young guy who can develop, sitting next to Terry McLaurin. I think that's going to be good for him. Yeah, I didn't even realize you had 2 first round picks this year. Big guy. Picking up Burks and Wilson. Yeah, like you said, seeing Olave drop down to 8 was a little interesting. I would have taken him over even Sky Moore, I think. Definitely over Watson, definitely over Williams. I mean, I'm a homer, but not that much.
Yeah.
But like you said, he's rebuilding. He's got some time. He doesn't need him this year. He'll need him in a couple. So works for me. Second round, pretty much halfway through this round, it starts getting pretty much just like what's the point until we get a further down the road. Nobody real impact now, but anything just real brief over these last couple rounds.
Yeah, there's a couple guys who the training camp reports are pretty good, right? And it is training camp. I understand. They might not even, get reasonable time during the year, but it's the first sign that a player is going to be something, right? Brian Robinson, there's some Antonio Gibson drama going on. There's kind of a dip on him right now. Like, he could turn into something. David Bell, he used to be like the best wide receiver in the class till some injuries and a subpar senior season. He could be something down the road. George Pickens has been like the Twitter hype train of the offseason. Dameon Pierce is having a great training camp, good preseason games. Everyone else, I mean, you hope they turn into something, but they're not really turning too many heads right now.
Yeah, this was the pick I actually was going to ask you about a second ago, was your Tyrion Davis Price pick.
Yeah.
I don't know that he would kind of seemed late round, but he's getting a lot of buzz sitting behind Elijah Mitchell there in San Fran. And with how often they seem to get hurt, you might have a little diamond in the rough there.
Yeah, that's my whole reason I took him. I have Elijah Mitchell, and that backfield, I mean, every year someone comes out of nowhere and then ends up killing it, right? Jeff Wilson's had crazy games. Raheem Mostert looks super good. Elijah Mitchell went crazy in spots, right? And so they might have like 3 or 4 guys who can all play. And so a couple injuries, maybe this dude ends up, running back 1 on that team for a couple games or something. Could turn into something, right? You can't go wrong with a running back on that team.
Yeah, definitely. Feels a little bad for the Benny Ballers here taking James White. Tough break, my guy. You'll get through it though. couple quarterbacks picked up that might be worth something. Malik Willis was kind of my dart throw. I don't even think I had more than that one pick in this draft. Trying to build that championship team early. But yeah, it took somebody with some upside. I'll be set for a year or two still. So just need something, which kind of leads us to where we're going next. Let's dig into what our team outlooks are. We're gonna go top third of the league, 1 through 4. This week, gonna do the middle half next week, and then the week of kickoff, we'll do the bottom teams, the ones who really have some upside, some deeper digging into the rosters and what they're gonna bring out this year. So my team, nothing we haven't seen before. For anyone who might not have like looked it over or just want to see it from this, we got Josh Allen sitting at quarterback. We got Jalen Hurts and Malik Willis behind him. I think Hurts and Allen combo is just top tier for years to come. Young studs in the league.
Yeah, thank God it's not super flex.
Yep. Yeah. A little bummed we didn't make it super flex after the draft I had, but definitely a good little stash for me. Then I'm rocking some pretty good running backs too. CMC, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift. Unfortunately, Antonio Gibson's not looking as promising as he was, say, at the end of last year, but still some good talent down there, some depth. Nothing really crazy. Some young guys, couple older guys. What do you think of the running back room we got here?
I mean, your running back room is as good as any running back room in the league, is same as your quarterback's room. Really, your team is just loaded with a bunch of guys who are top 10 or fringe top 10 at their position, which is exactly what you need to compete. You still have enough young guys where it's not like this is the last year where you're going to compete. In 2 years, your starting lineup, maybe you have 1 or 2 different guys in there. Like, you aren't going to have a bunch of turnover anytime soon. So, yeah, I mean, you're a super strong contender for the foreseeable future. This is what you expect out of a team who wins a championship. You expect it to look like this, I think.
Definitely. We'll keep it brief. Just a couple comments on the old wide receivers. Deontay Johnson, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Amon-Ra St. Brown, picking up Chase Claypool. That was a pretty good trade. I'm sure we'll talk about at some point here.
You don't have to call picking up. Being paid to take Chase Claypool. You didn't even just steal him because someone literally paid you, and we'll get whatever.
We'll break it down eventually. Let's just say some people didn't see the trade the same way we valued that trade. At the end of the day, I came out with Claypool. I did give up Nyheim Hines, just a little. And so, like, some people really do put some high praise on him. I think he'll be a good flex play definitely this year. But I valued Claypool's longevity and needing that wide receiver depth.
I say, Jake, it was actually Marlon Mack.
Oh, was it Marlon Mack?
Yeah.
Wasn't even Himes. Oh,
yeah, he sees the field less than Hines even.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need poo-poo on the process, the man who named his team after our league. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. We got Robert Woods coming off an injury. OBJ still hasn't signed with anybody. But you got that mix of young guys in here, and that's what kind of makes me feel pretty confident for years to come. Tight ends, Cole Kmet is kind of looking like a little bit of a stud. Dan Arnold's had a little promise, but then we got Kittle, the old faithful up there. He'll be just fine. Might not be number 1 tight end, but he'll be fine for me.
Yeah.
Just overall, I mean, I'm not mad at my team. Got to make one cut before season starts, and I don't think it'll be too hard with some of these guys at the end of the bench. So
yeah.
Looking at my draft capital, and just we're going to touch base on everyone's draft capital as we go through like the outlook for this team. Don't have another first round pick next year. Got rid of it. I believe that was the Tyreek Hill trade. Did pick up the second rounder in the Claypool deal. Picked up another one. I forgot who I traded away.
Marlon Mack. It was all the same deal. I know it like the back of my hand.
It was Marlon Mack in a second.
We're already there.
Yeah.
The trade was Chase Claypool and both of those second round picks in exchange for Marlon Mack.
Here it is. Yep.
Obviously, if someone sends you that, you smash accept before you blink again. Yeah, absolute steal. I mean, Claypool alone is better than Marlon Mack. I don't know what. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Collusion.
definitely.
Collusion. That's what's going on.
Definitely not collusion. I definitely did smash that accept button as soon as that email came through for me that day. Might have been the fastest I've ever clicked a trade. um, but yeah, no, overall, really my draft capital was restocked with that. You know, I don't have that first rounder, but I still have my full 4 picks going into
Yeah.
the 2023, and I haven't given up anything further down the line either. So
Yeah,
we make some good picks. We'll be sitting up top for a while.
for sure.
Um, our next team is you, Big Meech. What do we got going on? I'll let you break down your team a bit.
Yeah. Herbert leading the way. Really, my only quarterback that I'm really depending on. If he gets hurt, I will definitely be sending you offers for one of your quarterbacks or other good quarterbacks in the league. But young superstar there, super happy with him. After that, you got Mixon and Saquon Barkley. On the bench, you have a couple guys who might be something, James Robinson before Travis Etienne, I felt great about. Now, after injury, after the draft pick, not so much. Elijah Mitchell, I'm happy with. Kenneth Gainwell could turn into something. The rest of the guys are kind of just dart throws, hoping they turn into something. You mentioned Tyrion Davis Price earlier, hopefully just someone sprouts into something there. But if not, we only have to start one running back in the league. And I think Saquon Barkley could definitely be running back one this year if he stays healthy.
Definitely optimistic on Saquon. All the buzz he's gotten and seeing them kind of clean out the Giants coaching staff last year and really make that turn for hopefully a little bit brighter pastures for those guys over there, because our old boy Galladay, the Lions faithful Galladay, looked like absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
It just overall, I mean, your team's a stud. Brandon Cooks came from me in a roundabout way. But yeah, you got some decent guys on your bench too. Hopefully Amari Cooper can maintain being a stud.
Yeah.
Gonna be tough having Mr. Brissett throw the ball for a bit. But he could be good. And yeah, your rookie draft was really solid. I think you got a lot of upside players. So
I do want to highlight before you go too far, Jake.
yeah,
By far the best tight end room in the entire league.
big agree. Yes.
Dallas Goedert, top 7 tight end last year. Cameron Brake was tight end 32, but
He's a
with Tom
starter.
Brady now being tight end 1 on that team, I mean, you can't go wrong there with Gronk retired. And then I have Kyle Pitts and I have Mark Andrews in my starting lineup. Like, we're loaded here.
Yeah, you got a market on that one. You got a corner on that market for sure.
Yeah, I just need some buyers now.
Yeah, hopefully pick up a little bit of that slack. Maybe get a quarterback or something, draft pick. Looking at your draft capital, don't have a first rounder next year.
Yeah.
But other than that, you picked up extra second, swapped your third for a better pick. I mean, you're sitting pretty okay. You're down a second. Do you feel good with where you're at draft wise? Do you want more capital? What do you think about what you're owning right now, your stock?
I would love to get something in the first round here in the 23 draft. But when you're competing and you're trying to win, you have to be willing to kiss your draft goodbye to go and win now mode. So yeah, I would love to get more draft capital, but at the same time, I could also trade away all my draft capital this year for a player. I'm definitely not married to it. It's more of just a preference than a need, but we'll see what comes our way.
Yeah, I will say for me, the biggest was the FOMO come draft time, watching all these picks come through, seeing these guys that I'm like, man, he fell that far. Like, I wish I would have had that pick or anything like that. But yeah, grand scheme, they're not going to be the ones winning the championships. So not yet anyways. You can always pick them up later. Buy the dip, hit them when they're down, whatever the case may be. I think you got a good setup, good foundation going into this year. It'll be top dog staying up top.
Yeah.
Next team, Bordeaux, another guy who I think might not have too much of a fall off from last year. We're not as familiar with these teams now, so we can kind of break them down by position and what we got going on. Bordeaux's quarterbacks, he's got Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield, Cam Newton, Deshaun Watson. I mean, pretty solid quarterback room, honestly. Baker, if he brings his career back up. Deshaun, if he picks up where he left off, going to be almost 2 years ago. Once he gets back on the field, he's got some weapons there.
Yeah. After that, we'll jump into the running backs. We got Chubb, Kamara, Montgomery. pretty solid starters. I will say Kamara's probably on his last little stretch here. I believe he's facing a suspension. Montgomery, I don't know how much more gas he has in the tank either. So next year, maybe the year after that, I don't know if those guys are as sexy as they are now. And then after those starters, you got a couple of handcuffs and some dart throws. Mike Davis. I mean, if Baltimore gets hit by the ACL practice field situation again, might get some time. I mean, Khalil Herbert, Sam J. Piron, just handcuffs. I mean, really, he's relying on these starters quite a bit here.
Yeah, bye weeks are going to be a bit of the blues for him. Wide receiver room's looking stacked still, though. He's got Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Thielen. His bench isn't as deep as I thought it was going into this. He is pretty surface level with his team. He's got a absolute stud starting lineup, though. That's the thing, is if that lineup stays healthy and performs how it should, he'll be up at the top with us. He'll be giving us, the sweats week in and week out when we play him. But yeah, he gets a couple of injuries and it's pretty downhill. Young guys on his team too. Does anyone young really stick out on his roster to you?
I mean, reports on Kyle Phillips have been good in camp. But even then, I mean, the second or third best wide receiver on Tennessee isn't really anything to write home about with a team that has Derrick Henry. So, yeah, I mean, no one on his bench, honestly, really sticks out to me. He's really just very heavy on his starting lineup. But at the same time, that lineup's good. I expect him to stay third, fourth, something around that next year. I think he's a contender. He could definitely beat your team or my team any given week, depending on how the cookie crumbles, if he has all of his starters. But not the depth, really, I think, to win a number one seed after the regular season.
No, definitely. We'll go over his tight ends quick. He does have Ertz. He has Njoku. And then he's got the big old Hawk, my boy TJ Hawkinson. Like I said, decent. He's got a decent team. Just two injuries, and it's pretty downhill quick. What is he sitting on for draft capital? Not as pretty as it would like to be, I would imagine.
Yeah, nothing really to write home about. Couple second, third, fourth. I mean, you're a contender. Like, this is what it's going to be like. If you're holding that first round pick and you're getting third, what are you waiting for? Like, you really have to just draft so well. You'd be drafting late in the first. I mean, you got to kind of give it up if you're going to go for it. So
yeah, you got to bank on being a GM you don't know you are yet to really to take those draft picks and continue the legacy of your team. You got to really just get win now proven talent, really.
Yeah.
Our last team we're going to talk about is making moves. We'll hop over to his roster. I think his roster is one of the ones that can really fall apart quick. I think it really could be detrimental to him. He might be the only one we don't talk about next year in this top third recap review going into the season. But yeah, looking at his team, we'll dive right in. Quarterbacks: Tom Brady, Derek Carr, Mac Jones, Davis Mills. I mean, he's got young guys, just nobody who's, I think, is going to be like your number one or even number 5 fantasy quarterback in a year. Yeah. Tom Brady could do it again. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to disrespect that, but 45, one of these, he's gonna hit a wall at some point. It's gonna happen. Your body just doesn't hold up. And that you'll hear that sentiment throughout his roster, I think, too, when it comes to like age and holding up.
Yeah, I think Zach he went to the retirement home to pick up this team because, like you said, I mean, I could see it by week 4, half of his starting lineup could be injured or just useless at that point. What are people expecting out of Tyler Lockett this year without Russell Wilson there? What's Hunter Renfrow going to be with Devontae Adams in town now? What does Rashad Penny do? I mean, I know he looked great at the end of the year, but can he replicate some of that success year over year? I don't know. I could see this team. I mean, he finished 4th this year, and I felt that was overachieving. I could easily see this team 8th, 9th, 10th next year.
Yeah, and I mean, once we get into it too, some of these young bucks really going to be on the up and up too. We got some of these bottom half teams who really, couple owner changes we'll get to, couple of things we'll talk about where people really have, taken the reins on a franchise and it's no longer a cesspool, but something building. And you see some young guys, you see some draft capital down there. Going over his running backs, so Derrick Henry, Damian Harris, Rashad Penny. He's got Melvin Gordon on the bench, Kenyon Drake, who just got cut, Jeff Wilson, Breida, all these guys. He's got a couple of young guys that maybe they get a backup role sometime in the next 2 years. But nothing that blows me away talent-wise down at the bottom end of his running back room.
Yeah, his whole bench looks like a team that you would tank with. He's got to have someone really hit the lottery here, I think, to make a push for it this year.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I'm not going to name all his wide receivers. He's got a few over his roster, so who even knows who stays? We'll just kind of hit the high points here with Mike Evans, Tyler Lockett, Hunter Renfrow. His bench is not really sitting too deep. He does have Van Jefferson, who maybe if he stays healthy could be a guy. Maybe he does have Matt Stafford thrown to him. As you go down the list, still just nothing really that impresses me or is something relevant.
Yeah.
The last highlight for him then would be the tight end room. Travis Kelce sitting back there. He's got Mo Alley Cox, who might slide into something, maybe be a value for somebody or a trade chip for him. But after that, again, it's pretty fizzled. On paper, the team looks good. It just is. It's old. In my opinion, I don't mean to shit on you, Zach, but we're just here to be critical and think about what the league's going to play out like. Just an older team. I mean, like you said, he could hit again. He could get lucky like he did the first 2 years so far. Tom Brady, Gronk both outkicked their expectations, and no reason it couldn't replicate.
What does he have for picks over there?
Let's dive into him. Nothing crazy. He traded away a second and obtained a third. Other than that, he's sitting with a late picks in every draft going forward till he either starts sliding down those rankings or gets rid of them for players that can put him up top, and he won't need them.
Yeah. If I'm him looking at this draft capital, I have a real short leash on this team. If by week 3 or 4 I'm 2-2 or 1-3 or anything like that, I'm selling everybody. I'm blowing it up as soon as things aren't looking great.
Yeah. I mean, either that or he's got to make a hard commit, get rid of a stud or two, some older guy who might be a complementary piece, and pick up, a prospect or a promising guy who just isn't quite there yet. He's got to do something. It's going to be a Hail Mary if he gets to that point. But I think the eject button, the blow it up, get rid of it, pick up, seeing 5 first next year wouldn't be too bad with the talent we got coming in. So
right. But that does it for this week, guys. We're happy to be back. Trust the podcast. We reviewed the top 4 teams. We went over a little bit of the draft. If anyone has any suggestions, wants to see anything different, just holler at us. We'll try to include it, incorporate your feedback. Unless it's from Stu, we will not be including or incorporating your feedback. Figured I should just start chirping you early here.
Yeah, probably never.
But other than that, hope everyone has a great day, and we will catch you guys next week.
See you later.